Westworld Season 3 trailer promises all-out war. Folks, after 2 long years, Westworld is finally set to return next month on March 15th. And to get fans amped up, HBO dropped a brand new trailer for the latest season that's exciting, but also leaves us with many more questions than we have answers. I mean, seriously, for a show with as many twists and turns as Westworld, adding in a 2-year hiatus on top of that, it's no wonder that many are struggling to remember what exactly happened, and in which timeline, and who's wearing the Man in Black's hat. Is it him? Who cares? In case you forgot last season, it ended with Dolores and some of her robot buddies finally escaping the park and making it into the real world. But if you thought they were just gonna go quietly into that good night, well, you have another thing coming. Probably a katana or an explosion, I don't know, there's a lot going on. Luckily, this trailer's given us our best look yet at what to expect for the upcoming season, and basically, it seems like all-out war between humans and Cylons, I mean hosts. So what happened? Let's break it down. We open on an android eyeball being constructed before quickly cutting to Aaron Paul's new character Caleb, leaning over a half-robotified Dolores with that old-school exoskeleton. She's next to a weird coffin or a robot storage chamber, or maybe that's just a one-bedroom apartment for these folks. She recounts how her first memories are of pain. We then cut back to the Westworld Park where we find Bernard looking out over the remains of the burnt-down church. And outside of this and another quick shot or two, this is the only time we seem to see the Western setting of the previous seasons, and that's actually a good reason because the actual set burnt down in a fire, so it's nice to see them sort of repurposing this tragedy for narrative reasons. Now next we see Tessa Thompson Charlotte Hale in a hospital gown walking down what appears to be the inner facility of one of the parks before we see someone caress her face. Now in case you forgot, Hale was actually straight up murdered last season by Dolores, who then transferred her consciousness into a copy of Hale, allowing Dolores to then masquerade as her. Now we do know Dolores eventually rebuilt her own robot body again, so this begs the question, whose consciousness ends up in Hale's body? Now, speaking of Dolores, in this next shot, we see her slapping on some brand new skin onto her mechanical frame. But is this a flashback to when she rebuilt her body at the end of season 2? Well, this is doubtful because the showrunners have said that this season's gonna be pulling back on the non-linear storytelling, so something else must be afoot, or in this case, an arm. Now we cut to Dolores flying around Los Angeles while Caleb asks, "Who are you, Dolores?" The answer being, "You and I are a lot alike," as well as, "They put you in a cage and decided what your life would be." This voiceover is paired with a shot of Caleb alongside a robot and a not so subtle metaphor. Is Jesse Pinkman into bot stuff? We're about to find out. Are they setting him up to be a host himself, or perhaps just a human who's also been downtrodden by the ultra-rich in this world? And is that gonna mean he's gonna easily ally with the hosts because of that? Now, considering how hard the man has worked to keep hosts from leaving the park, well, he's probably human. We next get the implication that there's some sort of Skynet-like entity that's watching over everything. Because when Caleb asks Dolores if she's been watching him, she reveals that someone or something has. And then we get an ominous shot of a giant-sized creepy-ass computer. He then asks, "Who is it we're going after?" And she replies, "The person who took your future." Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but that's definitely some like 1984 Skynet stuff at work here, while humans are just being treated as bad as the hosts are. Now we switch gears here to Maeve, who awakens in some seriously swanky digs where she meets a mysterious newcomer played by Vincent Cassell. This mystery man has a mission for Maeve, and that's to take Dolores out. And buddy, I'm not talking about on a date, I'm talking about to death. Specifically hers, with a sword, as we get to later in the trailer. Then we get to our third plot thread, which is William, formerly known as the Man in Black. And last we saw of William in the season 2 finale, it was a bit of an obvious flash forward, so it's a safe bet that his story this season is gonna be us figuring out how we got to that ending. Now, back when season 2 first aired, our colleague Michael Walsh on Nerdist.com theorized that this might be where the entire series ends. But back to that trailer for a moment. Dolores welcomes William to the end of the game, and then later on in the trailer, William reveals that he's found a new calling in life: to save the world. Now, between this blood-spattered shirt he's wearing and the painful dental work he's subjected to later in the trailer, things aren't exactly going well for him, unless of course they've made huge strides in orthodontics. We also get a brief shot of one of the new parks that had been previously teased in the Comic-Con trailer. It's a World War II set zone we're calling Reichsworld. It's further proof that we're still gonna be following people in the parks and not just in the real world. Next up, Dolores has stolen a truck and is on the hunt through downtown Los Angeles. For what, though, we don't know. This chase scene is revisited later in the trailer, most notably when Caleb causes an explosion by firing a grenade or a rocket at it, then looking around like he just made an oopsie doopsie. We get more Charlotte, or possibly more Dolores as Charlotte as well, when she says there are 5 of us against an entire world of them. And later on, you're not the only predator here, which is punctuated by a giant mech punching through a wall. That part rules. Now, the theme this season is clearly going to be that war is going to be brought to humanity's doorstep. The Charlotte copy also inspects a riot control robot that, as I mentioned, comes in pretty handy later on. Now, from here, the trailer builds to a thrilling climax. Dolores claims the new gods are coming, and we can see people rioting. Whether these are all host bodies or if actual humans join this rebellion, that remains to be seen. Of course, the big finale is the promise of a showdown between Dolores and Maeve, but we have so many questions about that we probably can't fit them in this episode. Like, are they going to destroy each other? Are they going to reach an understanding? How did Maeve make the sword spark like that? Because when I do it, people just yell at me for damaging an artifact. I need to know. Now, all in all, this season is promising us a truly wild ride, and hopefully a less confusing one than Season 2. We're just gonna have to wait and see, though, what exactly is gonna happen when Westworld Season 3 premieres on HBO on March 15th. But in the meantime, what do you folks think? Are you excited for Westworld Season 3? Are you gonna binge watch Seasons 1 and 2 to prepare as a refresher? And seriously, how did Maeve make the sword spark like that? Let's discuss. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, why not give us a like and subscribe? And if you want to get notified every time we go live with a new show or drop a new video, please feel free to mash that little bell. That way you can be up to date on all the latest theories, rumors, and news in the pop culture world.